If you use paper inserts inside of your shirts to stop the bleed through, I want to show you a better way. These reusable inserts you will not have to make over and over again, and they're going to save you time and money with your all over sublimation projects. All right, well, you just saw us tussling with our paper insert that we have very limited use of because it will rip and or absorb so much ink that we can only get maybe about 2 uses out of it. So now we're going to use the Teflon insert that we've taped up in order to receive all of our bleed, and we're going to show you how to insert this instead. Okay, so I want you to lay your shirt out like so. You see how the shirt just slid and just glided there? That's what it's going to do inside of here, okay? So we're going to go ahead and lay out our shirt, take our insert here, lay it out in the same direction, and we're going to roll it up just like we did the paper one, okay? So we're going to take it, take the sleeve, roll it under, and continue to roll the rest of it. And just like we did with the paper, we're going to stick this right inside of the shirt through the neck hole there. We're going to grab the neck here, but what's going to be a little bit easier is getting those sleeves out. So we're going to shake just a little bit here, lay it out, take this sleeve here, reach our hand inside of the sleeve. We're going to grab the coordinating sleeve there, and it's much easier to just smoothly come outside of that sleeve there. Same thing over here. I'm grabbing inside of the sleeve. Grab that arm there, and you want to be careful, just like when you're getting a baby dressed and you think you're going to break the baby's arms getting them dressed. You want to be careful, but you don't have to be as careful with the Teflon as you do with paper. However, you want your stuff to last, so just take care of it. So now all I have to do is shake a little bit, lay it down, and make sure that I'm smooth out here. And this is going to help me pre-stretch, get all the wrinkles out, and then also catch any of the ink bleed that's going to go through the shirt. And just like that, our insert is ready to go. So this device right here is called the Sublimation Buddy System, aka my buddy. And I hope it's going to be your buddy too. We're going to see how this is going to help us do all over prints and presses with a small heat press here. And this is going to give us the space that we need to be able to do all over shirts, but also help avoid the lines that you get, the press lines that you get when doing the hardboard method. But we're also going to show you the hardboard method so that you can compare and contrast those different methods there. So I'm just doing a little slight adjustment here. I want to make sure that I can feel my platen underneath, but I don't want to see it poking through. I don't want it to be stressed. Right, I'm also going to adjust the other side over here. And the buddy has wheels, so it slides and glides, but which we'll get a chance to see in just a little bit. All right, our adjustment is all done, and we're ready to start using this system in order to do our all over sublimation. We're going to do 2 things here. One is we're going to use the split template method, and then we're going to use an all over print, both here with this same 16 by 20 heat press. You want to start off with your buddy right there in the center, and we're going to grab some butcher paper here. My favorite paper to use is the 36 by 44 pre-cut sheets because this is going to work perfect with the Innate Academy templates that are 36 by 44. There's no math, no measuring if you get everything that I'm talking about here. All right, the first thing that we'll do is we'll go ahead and fold this sheet in half, but we're not going to fold it all the way down. We're just going to pinch the edge down here and pinch the edge once we get the halfway mark here. And what this does is it lets us know where the center of our paper is And instead of measuring, we can use basic principles of math without having to actually do math. Let's place this onto the buddy here. Right there in the center. And then as long as we're using parallels here, we have about the same space here on the left and right, the same space across the bottom here. We don't have to do hard math to know that this is 2 inches, this is 2 inches. We can look at if it's parallel and it's even, then we are good to go. All right, so that's our first piece down. Next, we're gonna go ahead and add our shirt here. That's on the jig. All right, we'll lay this down. And again, it has these notches in it to tell us where the center is. So I'm gonna come up here to my center. And then I'm gonna also check the center down here. Now, instead of moving this whole big table, we have this big, beautiful, slick surface that allows us to spin like a winner, okay? And we're gonna spin here and make sure that the center mark is on the center line here. If everything is on the center mark, like I said, easy math without having to do any math. All right, so we're using principles here instead of having to calculate anything. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and smooth out the areas here. I'm gonna do a pre-press in order to get all the moisture, wrinkles out, and I'm gonna show you how to get the shirt flat, okay? For the next part of preparing the shirt, I'm gonna skip a very important step that I do not want you to skip. You're gonna use another sheet of paper, of covered paper, the same exact size. You're gonna fold it in half and put it on top. I'll show you that in a second. However, I wanted to show you the process of pre-pressing this shirt without that paper. So I'm taking a risk. If anything is on my heat press right now, it will end up on my shirt. All right, so I am risking it all just to make sure that you all can get a good view here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the press down right here in the center so that I can get a nice pressure around the neckline here. Here we are. And if you're a little shorty like me, you probably want to reduce the height of your press so that it's easier for you to reach, because the buddy does extend this part down here so that your shirt easily fits. But if you don't fit, then I have an adjustable height table here, and it's actually a motorcycle lift. So I can pump it up to go higher, or I can let it go down and it goes lower. And usually when you're working with all overs, you want it to be a little bit lower so you can see everything that you're working on. Now, some people say pre-press for about 15 seconds. You can do that, but what I've noticed with sublimation is if I pick it up in like 15 seconds, it will wrinkle all over the place and pick up really sudden. If I let it go the full time and cook, then it has a very, very nice flat appearance. All right, here we are. And there's that flatness there at the collar. It did stick a little bit. Something's on there, probably some screen print ink. But you see that I'm getting a lot smoother around that neckline there. So what I'm gonna do is a pattern. I'm gonna go to the center, and then I'm gonna slide to the left, slide to the right. Guess what's next? Don't worry about it, I'll show you. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and slide to the left to get this area here. Again, I'm gonna pull down and let that cook. You'll notice that it's gonna get everything nice, even and flat. If you're doing all over shirts at home, you're gonna have to do some extra steps. I'm also gonna show you this small press versus this big old large press too. So we got a lot of verses going on here today. This will show you that with the large press, you just do one press and you'll be able to get very similar results to what you have set up at home. All right, so we just did our left side, and now we're gonna slide to the right. And the reason why we do this is because we wanna press the shirt in the same sections that we're going to press the print. And then that way we have nice, even, low texture here. You're not gonna have a whole lot of humps and bumps, and it's going to make your print a lot smoother. So let's go ahead and press this side down here. For the next part of this process, we need to press the bottom of the shirt, but you have a small 16 by 20 press, it's still not a problem. So with this system, we're going to lift. Let's go ahead and put it back in the center here. We're going to lift and we're going to spin it 180 degrees so that now the bottom of your print is right under the press. And we only need 2 presses here for the bottom, left and right. So we'll go ahead and drop this down and grab that bottom. One more press and we'll be done with our pre-press here. We're gonna slide over to the left here so that we can grab this right side, and we're gonna make sure that we have a good overlap. This is all we need. Let's go ahead and pull it down. And we'll let her cook. We're ready for the print. First, we're gonna do the all over print. That was printed with a wide format printer. So this is one single sheet, a 36 by 44, ready to go. We're gonna take, and just like we did with the cover paper, we're gonna fold it in half and we're gonna pinch at the top and we're going to pinch at the bottom halfway point. This is going to help us with our alignment, and we're gonna do the no math technique. Okay, so we got a little pinch going on there. That's gonna tell us where our center points are. So let's bring it over here to the press. I like to float my image right over. So notice how I delicately did that. So the whole point of putting that little pinch mark there in the center is because it's going to align with the notch that's in the jig and also the center mark that we put on the 36 by 44 inch paper. If we line that up perfectly, let me show you how we don't have to do any math, y'all. We don't have to do any measuring here, because if we are precisely even here, that means that we are precisely even at the bottom and on the sides. What that also means is that our shirt is not going to be all twisted up and our print isn't going to look all lopsided. All right, so now we can go ahead and press in the center here. I like to start with the collar first. So I'm going to, well, you know what I'll do? I lied. I'm going to do the left and right since we're already down here. And I don't have to move the print to do the left and right. I move the buddy itself. So I'm going to start on the left here. So I'm going to slide to the left. And you see that center mark there. You want to make sure that you're going to have an overlap in that center area. So you don't want a huge, like 8-inch overlap, but you want at least 2 to 3 inches there of overlap. The other thing you want to make certain of is I can feel the edge of my shirt here, and I want to make sure that this edge of the shirt is going to make it underneath the press there. And actually I feel the edge of the shirt right here, so we're good. We got plenty of space here with this large. Let's go ahead and pull this down and get this thing cooking. All right, we'll let that go for the full time, and what we'll do is we'll press, have a little overlap, press the other side, and then we'll turn the image around. The other benefit of this print is that it is on tacky paper. So if you print large format, more than likely you have tacky paper. It's going to avoid the paper shifting while you're doing your pressing process. So we have 1 out of 5 of the presses done that we're going to need to press for this large shirt. So now I'm going to shift my buddy over to the right here, and I'm going to make sure I have some overlap here, and we'll go ahead and pull this down and get our second press on. We have 2 out of 5 presses done. Now the next step is we're going to rotate the whole set here. So we'll pick up the paper with the bottom layer, and we'll kind of pinch the print layer on it. And we're just going to shift the paper, we'll rotate it. And we do not have to be very precise with where things are now, because we have things all attached together. Now this is an all over print. It's tacky paper. We're going to have to, when we do this at our at-home method with our 13 by 19 printer, we're gonna have to add a little bit of tape to make sure that nothing shifts around while we're doing this, because the printer that you're using at home is more than likely not gonna be able to use the tacky paper. All right, so now I'm gonna make sure we're back in the middle here. And I want to ensure that we get a full center press here. So I'm gonna move my print up just a little bit here. I'm looking at my center mark. My center mark is lined up precisely with my press. And I'm going to go ahead and let it go. For this step, I would have definitely recommend that you use the cover paper here, the brown cover paper, or if you have white cover paper. The whole point is that it's supposed to protect your heat press so that you don't end up with any ink transfer on your next job. Well, I'm not using the paper only because I want you to see fully how you can see the ink start to pull through the paper into the substrate, and that way you could tell where you've already pressed versus where you have not pressed yet. The center print is done. Now we're going to do a little slide action. So we're going to slide it to the left side and do a press. Make sure that we have an overlap here so that we have no chance of having a stark white line there, especially using the buddy system. Here we are, press and go. That is press number 4 of 5 for this large shirt. And now we're gonna shift all the way to the right. So we slid to the left and now we're gonna slide to the right and produce this final press. Make sure that you have an overlap over here so that you get no white lines. Let's see what happens next. Now let's go ahead, slide this to the center since we finished our last press. And we're going to do a little peekaboo reveal here and see if we need to press any extra sections any longer. It looks like we have good color and image here. The place that you have to be most concerned about is right underneath the collar. So we're going to go ahead and rotate this. We're going to check and make sure that it cooked long enough. So let's go ahead and roll that back just a little bit. Be very careful because if you have to lay this back down in order to reprint around the collar, you want to ensure that your print did not shift. So I'm just rolling it back. Oh my goodness, Ant, I need you to get that. Ant is my videographer. He's amazing. Look at that flat around there. I see no white marks. I did this with a 16 by 20 press at home. Well, technically at my shop, but you could do it at home. And there is no ghosting or halo effect there. All right, let's go for the reveal. And we're going to go ahead and roll this off. And just like that, at home, you got a professional level result. So I showed you the best of what you can get with your home setup. The buddy plus the jigs plus an all over print that you did not have to tile. Well, now I want to show you how you can get in for the lowest cost possible into doing your all over shirt setup. So we're going to use a hardboard. We're going to use split images that we use a split template for in order to piece together to make one big image. And we're going to use a paper insert. So all of those ways you don't have to buy any extra materials, but I'm going to show you how that method works. If this video was helpful to you, make sure that you share this with a fellow creative and both of y'all like and subscribe.